So Bitcoin hit $42,000 not too long ago. It has since retraced ever so slightly to $41,300, at least at the time of recording this. That's what Bitcoin is currently trading at. So let's take a look at the past performances of Bitcoin in December and all the reasons why Bitcoin is doing this type of price action. Also, we got to talk about the new scapegoat for the next inflation crisis. You'll never guess what is being blamed for that one already, and it hasn't even happened yet. If you guys enjoy these daily updates on all things crypto, keeping you up to date on what's happening, I really appreciate it if you hit the like button and you hit subscribe with the bell notification turned on so you can get notified when we put out these very helpful, informative videos, if I do say so myself. If you want to know what we are doing with our own cryptocurrency portfolio, trades, market analysis, got to check out learningcrypto.com, the new home to the CT Club. And if you join before January 1st, 2024, you get a discounted rate. So I highly recommend you guys check it out before then so you can lock in that legacy rate. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the juicy stuff. What has Bitcoin done at the close of past Decembers? How has it performed? Basically 50% of the time it's in the green. Let's take a look at 2017, 2 cycles ago. It closed in December it had an increase of 38.89%. Also in 2020, it had an increase of 46.96%. In the years in between, it had just a downfall of 5%. And last year, December 2022, it had a downfall of 3%. This year, already in December, it's just the first week, we are up 10%. So if the pattern concludes, we have a up year of 38% and then 2 down years in December, and then 48% and then 2 down years, and then here we go again. Here's the pattern for possibly another positive December. And as we are discovering that we are exiting the accumulation phase and entering the bull market, I think this is going to play really well into that pattern, that this is going to be a really good December. And those of you might remember that Toby put it out there that he thinks we could hit a new all-time high before the end of this year. And I know a lot of people were skeptical about that. And my reaction to those assumptions are basically either they've never experienced a bull market in crypto, or they've been so beaten down by the bear market that they can't even remember what it was like to see the gains and the volatility in Bitcoin. And don't you forget, it is still volatile. So for those of you who might need a reminder of that through this past kind of boring year-long accumulation phase, here we go. We are less than a 2x from a new all-time high in Bitcoin. All right, let's just let that one settle in for you. Now, obviously, a huge topic for this upcoming bull run can't not talk about the Bitcoin ETFs, especially what's happening with Grayscale. Because remember, Grayscale took the SEC to court because they were just so sick and tired of the SEC denying their ETF application for the past 5 years and multiple applications getting denial after denial. They took them to court. They won. So the SEC has to basically either pass or deny Grayscale. And if they deny Grayscale, they're pretty much going to have to deny all applications out there. And I really highly doubt they're going to be denying BlackRock. So in that vein of thinking, we have news now that the SEC has actually met with Grayscale for the second time to discuss converting the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust into a Bitcoin ETF. And currently, Grayscale holds over 636,000 Bitcoin. That's valued over $2 billion, probably even much more since the reporting of this. And, Grayscale has been a huge holder, one of the largest holders of Bitcoin for many years. And I know a lot of people are waking up to this fact of like, oh, now all these ETF applications through BlackRock, through Fidelity, through Invesco, Grayscale, that means these guys are going to be holding huge amounts of supply of Bitcoin. Well, Grayscale has been holding a huge amount of supply of Bitcoin for a long time. So they've acquired these also at much cheaper prices, most likely, because they've been holding for such a long time for their Bitcoin Trust product that they already offer. And also, we can't forget the deadline for ARK Invest, which I believe expires on January 10th, which that date is fast approaching. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that fact. And so that's just adding to this recognition that with the potential and just the logistics of spot Bitcoin ETFs, not just one from one huge entity, we're talking several. And just the simple fact of supply and demand, Bitcoin, even at 42,000, is still pretty cheap. And if you don't agree with me, maybe in hindsight, hopefully you'll get some 2020 hindsight and you will see, oh yeah, actually considering the truth of the scarcity of Bitcoin, that's going to ring true. And you know, there is a saying, you buy Bitcoin at the price that you deserve. I'm not trying to induce FOMO or panic or irrational buying, because if you are at all familiar with this channel, you know that Toby and I have been preaching about dollar cost averaging for years. And we've really been vocal about it, especially for the past 8 months. So for those of you who've been paying attention, congratulations. You guys are ahead of the curve. You're able to think independently, and you're able to find value that you can recognize without confirmation bias surrounding you constantly. That confirmation bias is going to come in real quick as this price of Bitcoin starts to pump and the bull market really kicks off. Now, for those of you who are an avid reader of the New York Times, there's an article that came out recently saying that the Bitcoin ETFs will be to blame for the next inflation crisis as big banks start adopting the digital currency of the dark web. Wow. How much negativity can they lace through that title? It's really interesting. They're not being subtle there whatsoever on their stance toward Bitcoin. And it's really interesting, especially because I'm pretty sure there's been everything to blame for the inflation crisis, except for the actions of central bankers, right? And just printing of currency, which is the direct cause of inflation. It's also interesting to note that for those of you who have already been accumulating Bitcoin in a reasonable manner with a long-term perspective, you guys might notice that things are actually becoming cheaper in terms of Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin is an inflation hedge. Really interesting to see, you know, the haters will never stop, and they're just getting weaker and weaker, in my opinion. For those of you who would like a little laugh to start off your week on this Monday, it's a great start to a Monday. Bitcoin's up. Toby's going to have much more to give to you as well tomorrow, looking at the global macroeconomic situation and more details on how Bitcoin is developing as of late. So thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe. See you later.